Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Welcome into Verts, NFL triple header in the books. My name is Harrison Graham. We're going to react to all three games, starting with Bears, Lions, another Bears meltdown. A lot to get into. We'll get to Cowboys, Giants, and Dolphins, Packers as well. Listen, this is why you subscribe. It's a holiday. I'm grinding away, bringing you guys this content. Help support a brother. Hit that subscribe button. We got you covered. Just about every single day. Haven't missed a day in a while. NFL, college football content here on Verts. Hit that subscribe button. All right. We'll get to the other two games, but my goodness, it truly is remarkable how the Bears keep losing games. I mean, it's really just, it's laughable. It's laughable at this point. It really, really is. We all saw it. Everybody out there watched it. I don't need to explain like the clock, the field, all that situation. Let me just give you my analysis on what happened at the end. So Caleb takes that sack. Looks like it might have been a QB draw, which is a weird call. Both tackles just whiffed. It looked like, I don't know, it just almost felt like a broken play. He gets sacked, 32 seconds. You have a couple of options with one timeout left. One, you take the timeout right away, which I would have done. You have a rookie quarterback. Just take a timeout, take a deep breath, and go over your options. So in that scenario, you take the timeout, get everybody over there. There's 32 seconds left. Hey, guys, plenty of time. Can't take a sack here, obviously. We need 5, 6, 7 yards here. You know, from where they were, it was like a 59, 60-yard field goal. You get 5, 6, 7 yards well within Cairo Santos's range indoors. To get a legitimate field goal attempt off. And with that much time left, even if you're tackled in bounds, you have plenty of time to run your field goal unit onto the field, run your offense off, even if you're tackled in bounds to get the playoff. Because you can't spike it. It would have been fourth down after that play. It was 3rd and 26 after the sack. So you were just going to have to get some yards. If you're tackled in bounds, get everybody off the field, get the kicking unit on. Plenty of time to do it. I tweeted out an example at HGramNFL of my alma mater, TCU, doing this a couple of years ago. They got tackled with 18 seconds left and no timeouts, ran the field goal unit on, won the game, no problem. Got the field goal off. So there was plenty of time to do that, certainly with 32 seconds left. And even though if that play takes 5, 6, 7 seconds, you're talking about mid-20s, that's an eternity. That's option number one. I think that would have been the safest option. Option number two, which is what I think they were going for, is get lined up quickly. Ideally, you get lined up and set, snap the ball in the, 16 to 20 second range. Even if a play takes a little longer, at most it's going to take 6, 7 seconds. If you complete the pass, you can take the timeout, or if you get out of bounds, whatever the scenario is, get your field goal unit on. Obviously, there's a scenario where you would like to preserve that timeout and not rip it right away. You always like having that in the back of your pocket. But you're dealing with a rookie quarterback on the road in a raucous environment. I would not have gone that route. Now, let me just get this out of the way. Caleb Williams and the offensive players were way too lackadaisical in terms of a lack of urgency. You got to get up after that sack. If your coach doesn't take a timeout and you don't have the autonomy to take timeout, which very questionable if Caleb does or not. He said after the game basically that, as a rookie, I felt like that was, the coach's decision in that spot. Okay, fair enough. You do have to get up faster and recognize that the clock is winding. So obviously there are blames on players and on the quarterback in that situation. They didn't get the snap off until like 7 seconds left. He throws downfield to Adunze, and as the ball hits the ground, the clock runs out. That cannot happen. There's no excuse for that. So that's option number two. Get the ball off 10 seconds earlier. Even if you throw incomplete, maybe you try the long field goal, or at least you have a throw at the end zone. But again, that's why I would have taken timeout, because A, you just maximize your time there, and B, you can get into a play call you want. You don't have to scream into your young quarterback's helmet. Caleb said there wasn't much communication from the sideline. I don't know what Thomas Brown was saying into his head. Who knows? It just seemed way too chaotic. Option three, which kind of gets you back to option one, And this is where Matt Eberflus has to have some feel, which clearly he doesn't. We're going to talk about Eberflus in a second. When that clock gets to 27, 26, 25, and there's chaos and everybody's looking around and Caleb starts signaling a few seconds later, 22, 21, to try to get everybody lined up, you can still take time out there. Even if it's at 20, 21 seconds left, that is enough time to still run a play, even if you're tackled in bounds, sprint the field goal unit on. That can still happen. Now, it's a little tighter, but you can do it. If you're north of 20 seconds when you snap the ball, you can make it happen if you practice it properly. Now, do the Bears practice those situations? If you told me they didn't, I'd believe you at this point because they continue to crumble in these late game spots and their coach doesn't have a clue. But it was pretty clear 4, 5, 6 seconds after Caleb was sacked and on the ground, there was a lot of confusion and they were not prepared. Just take the time out there. It's okay if you lose 5 or 6 seconds there. It's better to do that, leave yourself enough time, then do what I said in option 1, run a play you like, get 5, 6, 7 yards, ideally a few more, but at least a handful, and then get your kicking unit on there and kick the field goal. What you can't do is option number 2, and then what happened play out, which is it takes way too long, seems like the play call is not getting in, your quarterback's not going quick enough, and the bottom line is that's on the coach. Period. End of story. Obviously, if you're going to go 100% pie chart, does Caleb and the offensive players carry some blame for a lack of urgency? Yes, of course. But don't leave it on your rookie quarterback in that situation. Just take a timeout. Everyone at home is saying the same thing. You got to take a timeout. You got to take a timeout. You got to take a timeout. I guess you're not going to take the timeout. Game's over. Romo after the game is saying, why didn't they take a timeout? Matt Ryan in the CBS studio after the game, that's completely on coaching. So I understand. It seems like Caleb's an easy guy to make fun of and pick on and all this stuff and blame and all that. And maybe I'm being overly defensive of him. I don't know. I feel like I'm not. I'm being fair. I said, hey, you got to have more urgency. But the coach is there for a reason. Be the adult. It's like being a parent with the 10, 12-year-old. Should a 12-year-old know better than to do certain things? Yes, he should. But be the adult. Put him in a better position to not make a mistake. That's just unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And you think about the losses they've suffered and increasing chatter that maybe, just maybe, they'll fire Matt Eberflus either Friday or this weekend after their latest collapse. Since the bye week, the Bears are 0-6. They, by the way, have not turned the ball over offensively since the bye week. They have one muffed punt in this stretch, and they still haven't won a game. They lost on a Hail Mary, which the play before they gave up a free 15 yards. Matt Eberflus said those yards didn't matter. Dan Quinn said they did. Bad coaching. They lost on a tipped field goal in Green Bay, where Matt Eberflus, instead of trying to get closer, let 30 seconds wind down. They clocked it, settled for a 46-yarder. It got tipped. By the way, the next week, field goal got blocked in the same A-gap. Didn't fix it. Bad coaching. They actually get the late game break against Minnesota, the onside kick. Then they can't seal the deal. And then what happens today? What is the common denominator in all these games, especially 3 of the 4? The Vikings won, kind of got outplayed, got a little lucky to have a chance late. Whatever, fair enough. It's the head coach. In tight game situations, final 2 minutes, he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know when to use a timeout, when not to use a timeout. And after the game, he was asked about it. He's like, I like what we did there. I liked our process. Really? You liked what you did there. You liked that you threw a pass that hit the floor with 0 seconds left when your quarterback was sacked with 32 seconds left. Again, got to go faster. But you wouldn't change it if you could go back and do it over? You wouldn't say, yeah, I probably should have taken a timeout? Like, how can you say that with a straight face? I mean, it's disrespectful. It's laughable. And now the Bears just have no choice. They've got this fake noble thing within their franchise that the ownership believes in. We don't fire a head coach midseason, which I'm sitting here saying, you fired your offensive coordinator. You had no problem doing that. What the hell is the difference? They have no choice but to fire this coach. They've never done it. They've never fired a coach midseason. I think there's a greater than 50-50 chance he gets fired tomorrow or at some point this weekend. They obviously have a long week before they play a week from Sunday in San Francisco. I just, after the game, players are, again, Keenan Allen, direct quote, I felt as players we did enough to win this game. He was asked if they should have taken a timeout. He said, that's not my job. It's my job to line up, run routes. Kyler Gordon was asked, why do these type of losses keep happening? He said, no comment. Next question. I mean, DJ Moore said, I don't understand why we're not taking a timeout in that spot. He's lost the locker room. They don't believe in him. They don't trust him in an important spot to make the right decision. Whatever decision he makes is going to be the wrong one. We've seen it time and time and time again. He's 5-19 in one-score games. He's 3-13 against the NFC North. His quarterback, Caleb Williams, a little up and down today, but the last 3 weeks, especially in the second half today, has played winning football against 3 damn good NFC North teams, and you lost all 3 of them because of the coach. Like, you can't allow this to go on. And this goes back to last offseason. Ryan Poles wanting to give this a third year with Eberflus is just an all-time bad mistake, especially with Jim Harbaugh out there. Could you imagine what the Bears' record would be with Jim Harbaugh? The Bears are like 3rd in the NFL in turnover differential, and they're still +1 in point margin, and they're 4-8. 4-8. I think you flip that record around at least if Harbaugh's the coach. At least. And by the way, if Harbaugh's the coach, do they just get rolled at home by New England? I highly doubt it. You might even be 9-3 in the toughest division in football. I've tweeted this out. The Bears are the 17th best head coach in the league away from being a playoff team. The problem is they have the 32nd best head coach in the league. That is last for those keeping up at home. It's atrocious, man. I don't see how you continue to trot this out there if you're George McCaskey, Kevin Warren, and Ryan Poles. I think you have to pull the plug here. I could see it happening too. We'll see what happens. All right, I want to talk about these other games. Cowboys topped the Giants 27-20. Dallas, by the way, quietly 5-7 now. They're only 2 games back of Washington, who plays a Tennessee team this weekend, who's quietly been playing better. Commanders have lost 3 in a row. Cooper Rush playing decent. Dallas's defense playing better. Rico Dowdle rushed for over 100 yards. Giants, by the way, first team eliminated for the playoffs. Speaking of coaching, Brian Daboll is going to get fired, more than likely. Joe Shane, the GM, needs to get fired as well. I thought Drew Lock played okay, but yeah, they're just a train wreck. I'm not going to say Dallas has righted the ship, but listen, I'll give them credit where you take credit away from the Bears. Like, I don't think Mike McCarthy's a great coach, but he's clearly a coach who's been there and done that, right? Like, this thing hasn't completely fallen apart. They lost 5 in a row, and now they've won 2 in a row. It feels like, they're at least serviceable right now. They can compete in games. With Cooper Rush, not even Dak Prescott. So, nice win for Dallas. They play Cincinnati next week, who's been vulnerable. If they can win that, get to 6-7. Maybe Washington loses this week before their bye. Weird things have happened. That 7th seed in the NFC feels like it could be up for grabs. So, keep an eye on the Commanders this weekend. If they lose again, that door, I think, is cracked pretty wide open for a handful of teams across the NFC. All right, let's hit the game that just happened. Packers dominate Miami 30-17. They improved to 9-3. I mean, you think about the top 3 NFC North teams. Detroit is 11-1. Minnesota is 9-2. They play this weekend. Green Bay is 9-3. Bears 4-8, but we just talked about, how close are they to being 8-4? I mean, seriously. It's a very good division. Tua, by the way, and this was, if you didn't bet on Packers -3.5, I don't know what to tell you. If you've paid attention to the Tua, Mike McDaniel era Dolphins, they're horrible in cold weather. Now, Tua played a little better individually tonight than he has in other cold weather games, but they had no shot. And it's not just Tua; it's their whole team is they're predicated on speed. Well, when it's 20 degrees out and there's snow flurries and you're playing on grass outdoors, it's windy. That speed kind of gets marginalized. You saw that tonight. And as soon as Malik Washington muffed that opening punt after the Dolphins defense got a stop, and then he muffs the punt and they're inside the 10 and they punch it in, you're like, this is probably going to be a long night. You can't make that mistake early in the game. So, Miami had won 3 in a row. Now they dropped this one. They're 5-7. If Denver wins this, their next game, I can't remember if they're off this week or if they play next week, whatever it is. They're 7-5 and in the 7th seed. If they get to 8-5, I think Miami's done. They needed to win this game tonight to inch a little bit closer in the playoff hunt. I think Mike McDaniel's going to get another year. They've clearly been at least formidable with Tua when he's been healthy, but they were just so dysfunctional without Tua. I think moving forward, if you're the Dolphins, you have to invest in a real backup quarterback. You can't have the Skylar Thompsons of the world with Tua's head issues, injury issues. You have to have one of the higher paid backup quarterbacks just in case, because if he misses a month with a concussion or whatever, you got no shot with Skylar Thompson. You got to have a Jameis Winston or a Joe Flacco or whoever, someone who can run the offense and give you a real shot. So I think that's something they're going to have to do moving forward, because they lost a couple just really ugly, low-scoring games without Tua, where if they just had 10% better QB play, maybe they're 6-6, 7-5 right now instead of 5-7. So big win for Green Bay. Tough loss for Miami at 5-7 now. They probably got to win out to have a shot, which is unlikely because the weather is starting to get cold. They're not going to play every game at home in Miami. And Tua is now 0-8 in sub-40-degree temperatures, which, that's always going to be the question, because the biggest games are in the winter when it gets cold, and in the AFC, unless you're getting home field advantage from Miami, Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore, Cincinnati. I mean, all these places get cold. You're not going to have much of a chance, in that situation. So we'll see where they go from here. Packers, they look pretty good. Josh Jacobs is just a huge addition for that offense. Had a couple of nice plays down the stretch. Jordan Love, I thought, was pretty sharp tonight with Jaden Reed, a couple of touchdowns. So kind of a complete performance from the Packers today. All right, happy Thanksgiving. Thanks so much for tuning in. Enjoy your weekend of football. We got Chiefs Raiders tomorrow, some college games as well. Full slate on Saturday for college football. Also, and then more NFL Week 13 action on Sunday. My name is Harrison Graham. We will see you guys soon here on 4 Verts.